So Nick, just to begin with, can you just tell me at the very beginning, where did you go to school, and where were you brought up?
I was brought up in Leamington Spa. I went to a school called the Trinity School there, which was actually quite an interesting school. It was a sort of progressive Catholic school. There were meant to be no rules except for be responsible. So we didn't have uniform. It was based on a sort of principle of autonomy there. So it was an interesting school to be, lots of choice. I studied philosophy even though I was only at sort of secondary school, and an interesting place to be.
Okay, so when did the first sort of feelings that sort of like, oh gosh, that you're even interested in religion come from? Let alone being Catholic or Catholic priest.
Yeah, I mean, from quite a young age, I think I was quite religious, and even at the age of 8 or 9, I thought I wanted to be a priest. I thought that was what God wanted me to do, and it's strange that sort of since that age, that sort of feeling has never left me. But obviously, a feeling you have at the age of 8 or 9 has to be kind of rediscerned when you're an adult. But certainly, from a young age, I was interested in God, interested in the church, and I knew some very inspiring and holy priests, so maybe that was what led me towards this path. So,
I mean, you get there at sort of 16, and your sort of friends are sort of doing what they do, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Did anybody say to you, "You must be mad"?
I didn't tell them. I think growing up, even though it was a Catholic school, it was a very secular place, and none of my friends sort of practiced, or if they did, they kept it very quiet. But even at the age of 17, I went to the Jesuits and said, I'm interested in becoming a Jesuit. Their sort of suggestion was, well, perhaps go to university and come back and see us a bit later. But yeah, I think I kept it very much to myself. At university, I didn't tell anyone or talk about it. But there was a sort of, there was a knowledge in me that was what ultimately I would do. I didn't feel ready for it at that stage, but
Why the Jesuits? I mean, you could have been a Benedictine or a Dominican.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was something in the Jesuits I knew, something attractive. I knew, for example, Father Alan Fortune, who was a missionary in Guyana. Father David Townsend, who after working spirituality then went off to the Far East to work with refugees. Tony Horan, who worked in spirituality. These were interesting people. I loved listening to them, talking with them. And I was also inspired by the history of the Jesuits, the Jesuit saints, the English martyrs and so on. There's something very idealistic and generous in what they did with their lives, which was kind of attractive to me. Yeah.
I mean, you say that, you say the history and things like that. Do you think that's relevant to today?
I do. I mean, obviously the context has changed. What the Elizabethan Jesuits thought they were about in the late 16th, early 17th century. Obviously, it's not the same, but they were willing to give their lives for the kingdom of God in their particular way, and their idealism, their generosity, their simplicity. Those are things which are still very, very relevant today. And they wanted to proclaim the good news of Jesus Christ. Now, that's always relevant, but it's got to be done in a different way today.
And you haven't had any regrets? You don't think, and there must have been moments when you thought, yeah, this is not for me.
I mean, it's something I've questioned as I've gone along. But I think at root, I've always had this conviction that this is a great blessing from God that I'm very grateful for. And I'm very happy in this way of life. And I'm looking forward to the challenge of being a priest. In some ways, I don't know what it's going to be like. I mean, I've had a lot of training, a lot of preparation, and you'd hope that after 10 years I'd be ready for that. But, there's a sense of stepping out into the unknown, having to trust God and see where it leads.